some interesting article I found on the CBC webpage. CBC is a Canadian broadcast corporation, similar like BBC in UK, I guess. So I'm gonna read this now. Very interesting. Similarities in Nigerian asylum claims based on sexual orientation have Legal Aid Ontario asking questions. 60 to 70% of Nigerian asylum claims made in Ontario since April cited persecution based on sexual orientation. This article, by the way, this article is November 8, 2017, so 1 year ago. Nigerian asylum seekers in Canada are making so many similar claims based on sexual orientation that Legal Aid Ontario is worried some claims may be fabricated. Jawad Kassab, who leads the refugee and immigration program at Legal Aid Ontario, said the agency has identified an unusual pattern in sexual orientation claims filed by Nigerian refugee seekers this year. He said the agency has written to 5 lawyers who represent a high volume of those cases and asked if they can help explain what's behind it. He would not name the lawyers. Kassab said he is concerned that if claims are fabricated, refugees with legitimate claims might have a harder time getting the help they need. It galls me because of the potential impact that it could have on refugee system and the Canadian public perception of refugee claimants and refugees in a very vulnerable time globally, he said. The Nigerian government outlawed same-sex relationship in 2014. Arbitrary arrest, extortion and mob violence against those believed to be homosexual have become more common since then. According to New York-based Human Rights Watch, a non-profit, non-governmental organization, lawyers who represent Nigerian refugees say that may explain the recent spike in Nigerian refugee application based on sexual orientation. It's almost like a war zone for homosexuals, said immigration lawyer Richard Odelele. You cannot expect people to put up with that, and they have to leave. Odelele, who said he received one of the letters from Legal Aid Ontario, says he found the suggestion that lawyers may be coaching clients to fabricate their stories insulting and discriminatory. So we have the LGBT refugee claims by identity from 2013 to 2017. Bisexual, gay, lesbian, varied other. Nigeria, as you can see, bisexuals like 3 times more than other. Gay is nearly twice as other. About 90% of the refugee claims made by Nigerians in Canada are heard in Toronto. Kassab said Legal Aid Ontario, which covers the legal costs for most refugee claims heard in the province, became suspicious after routine review of refugee applications showed that 60 to 70% of about 600 Nigerian claims made in Ontario since April were based on persecution because of sexual orientation. Kassab described that number as high relative to other countries. Kassab said the stories often involved a married person whose spouse discovered them with the same-sex partner. The married couple then reconciled, and they and the same-sex partner all applied for refugee status in Canada over fears of persecution in Nigeria. The fact that a few lawyers were responsible for disproportionate number of claims also raised questions, Kassab said. As a result, he said, legal aid fears some of the claims are either made up by individual claimants or that legal representatives coach them to do so. There are certain patterns that when you look at them over 40, 50, 60 claims, you begin to wonder about plausibility and begin to suspect that maybe some of these claims are fabricated, he said. Nigerian nationals are the second largest group seeking refugee status in Canada in 2017. By the end of August 2055, Nigerians had applied for asylum according to Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. Success-fail race for Nigerian inland refugee claims 2013 to 2017. So positive, negative, no credential basis. So more than 50% are positive. Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada data obtained by CBC News shows the number of Nigerian claims has grown steadily since the federal government set up a new refugee system in 2013. The IRB data represent cases that were adjudicated within the same year of the application was received, from 2013 April to April 2017. It shows that Nigerians made about 25% of all claims on the basis of sexual orientation during that period. Of these claimants, 60% said they were bisexual. On average, 12% of claimants from all other countries said they were bisexual. Odelia said, it is not uncommon for gay and lesbian Nigerians to get married simply to keep up appearances. When they come to Canada, they struggle to come to terms with their decision and assume they must be bisexual, he said. He said his job as lawyer is to present his client case as he or she states this, not to decide if they are telling the truth. I don't ask questions, I just do my job and represent my clients, he says. Refugee and immigration lawyer Johnson Babalola, whose law firm represents a large number of Nigerian clients, said it would be a great concern if lawyers were counseling clients to fabricate stories to Immigration and Refugee Board. But he said he hasn't seen any evidence of that. He said he has turned away some people whose story seems suspicious, but that generally it is impossible to prove a client's sexual orientation. Top 5 countries for LGBT refugees claims 2013-2016. Nigeria, Jamaica, Cameroon, Ukraine, Ghana. Nigeria is skyrocketing. Other countries like about 100 and Nigeria about 450 claimants. All I can do is ask the client repeatedly, are you being truthful? Are you telling me the truth? And once the client says, this is my claim, I have to advance it, he told CBC. Refugee cases based on sexual orientation are difficult to adjudicate, said Sean Rehag, a law professor who specializes in refugee immigration law at New York University Ascogee Hall Law School. Deciding if someone is being truthful about their sexual is a problematic, if not impossible task, he said. Earlier this year, the IRB set out new guidelines for dealing with such claims. They direct board members to avoid making decisions based on appearance and stereotypes. And the eighth of the day, adjudicators are required to give claimants the benefit of the doubt, Rak said. ERB data shows that in the first 3 months of this year, the board accepted 54% of such claims, compared with 64% 2 years earlier. The board has accepted 72% of sexual orientation claims from all other countries since 2013. The IRB declined to comment for this story. So that's the story about Nigerian LGBT.